Hey guys, it's Jake here with eTrailer. Today we have a 2021 Buick Encore. We're going to be taking a look at, and I'm going to show you how to install the Curt 4-pole trailer wiring harness. Adding a 4-pole to your Encore is going to allow you to safely transfer the lighting signals from your Encore to your trailer lights when pulling a trailer. This is going to be a custom fit installation. It'll tie into the back of your taillight, so you don't have to splice in any wiring. You simply unplug your taillight, plug this harness in, and then plug the harness back into your taillight. It's that easy. It's also going to have a converter box on it that's designed to protect the lights on the vehicle and your trailer so that there's no backfeed in between each one, potentially ruining the lights on one or the other. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can run this wiring. We've just got ours inside. The owner of this vehicle would prefer it to be stored in the trunk so that it's safe for most of the time of the year. They're only going to use it a couple times a year, so we'll just keep it spooled up underneath this hatch. But if you're going to use yours all the time, I recommend running the 4-pole out and underneath the vehicle. You can pick up a 4-pole mounting bracket and mount it here on the bottom somewhere near your hitch. That way it's there every time you need it. If you do mount it on the inside and just leave it spooled up in there, this weather seal is going to protect the wiring so that when you close the rear hatch on it, you don't have to worry about splitting this wire. As far as the installation, again, like we said, it's not very difficult at all. We're just going to have to remove this panel down in here, a couple of those foam panels, and then pull this skid plate out, and then that's it. We can reach back behind, get to our taillight wiring, and get our harness hooked up. To begin our installation, we're going to be in the rear hatch of our vehicle. We'll have these tie-down points here. We'll use a 10mm socket to remove those screws. And we're just going to pull back on this plastic to get it to pop loose. Now we're going to use a T45 Torx bit or a flathead screwdriver. You're going to have a fastener down here in this opening. We'll have to loosen that up. We'll have one on each side, and this is going to help us to remove these foam panels. And we'll take these foam panels out. Set them to the side. This is going to give us more room to work. Now we'll take this side panel here, and we'll just need to pull out. There's some fasteners behind there, and it should give us enough room to reach behind this to make our connection behind the taillight. So we've got our plug disconnected from the back of our taillight. You just want to push on this little tab and then pull backwards on it to get it to disconnect. Now we can take our plug from our harness, plug that in, listen for it to click, and then we're going to have to connect this plug back into our taillight. Now we'll take the double-sided tape that comes on our kit, get that stuck to the back. We'll peel off the other side, and there's actually a really nice area down in the bottom of this cavity to stick it. You can peek your head in there. It's going to be just down here on the bottom. You'll see a little shelf down there. That's where we're going to stick that. Right in there. Now we'll take the self-tapping screw that comes in your kit. We're going to self-tap it right into our frame down here. When you're tightening that down, you want to make sure it's tight enough so that the ring terminal doesn't spin, but not so tight that you strip out the screw. Now we're going to repeat that same process that we did with the driver's side plug on the passenger. So we just unplugged it here. We'll take our plug, get it connected, and plug this into the back of our taillight. Now the black wire coming out of our converter box, we'll have to connect the long spool of black wire that comes in our kit. We're using a heat shrink butt connector. It just provides a better connection there. Then we're going to shrink this up and then start routing our black wire to the front of the vehicle. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll come back and show you how I did it. We went down through the grommet that's really close to where we mounted up our converter box. Then we came out the back side of our frame rail. And then essentially what we did is we just followed existing brake lines, tying it off as often as you need to. I like to tie off pretty often, about every 12 inches or so. And then we just ran it up over top of this small section of our fuel tank, came back down, and then ran it inside this section of frame support. We had to come out here because there's something here, there's a wall inside of here. We came out, went back up inside of it, came back down, and this area went up and into the engine bay. Now we're going to take our excess wire, cut that off, because we're going to be making our connection right here to our battery. We'll strip back some wire, give it a twist, and we'll take our butt connector. Now we made this up. You want to put a butt connector on one end and a ring terminal on the other. Make sure your fuse is not in there. Now we'll take a 12mm socket, remove this nut from the top of our battery. I'm going to tuck this ring terminal in there and hope that this cover still goes back on. And we'll put our nut back. Now we'll take our fuse and put it in place. Now we'll test out our wiring to make sure everything's working properly. Start with our running lights, our left turn, right turn, and our brake lights. Once you know everything's working properly, that's going to do it for installation. Hopefully this video helped you decide whether or not the Curt 4-pole trailer wiring harness is right for you and your 2021 Buick Encore.